Hello. Um, I just wanted to put this video together basically to explain how bad the propaganda on marijuana has become, or how it was, and how the government still tries to make propaganda, but how it's changed the game a little bit. Because of my ADHD, I have a tendency to ramble. So if it looks like this part of the video was chopped up, and yeah, it's because it is. I don't want you guys to have to deal with my ADHD, so I just made it easier for you guys by yeah, I made it easier for you guys to cope with this part of the video by just chopping it up and making it real simple, just to get to the point. First of all, we got a picture here. It says marijuana before, happy, good job, nice house, loving wife and kids. Then after, it says after overdosing on marijuana too many times, this man lost everything he ever knew. His family, his job, his friends. He caught AIDS by sharing used marijuana. Are you kidding me? This is impossible. First of all, marijuana, if you're smoking it, is from the mouth. They've already debunked the whole thing of if you're kissing somebody, saliva transference. Um, yeah, you can't get AIDS that way. So this right here, this is ridiculous, and it says marijuana ruins life. Let me explain the ruining the life part. Marijuana itself does not ruin your life. The people that enforce the illegalization of it are the ones that ruin the lives. So in essence, the people with the problem is not the people using it who actually need it. It's the people that believe they don't need it who are the establishment. Moving on. Um, there's also another propaganda one from back, way back in the day. This here, it says the devil's weed. So it says the tragic truth of the marijuana menace. Um, so basically, they're trying to link it to the devil. Um, and in no way, shape, or form is marijuana linked to the devil. I'm sorry, I'm fully convinced of that, especially after seeing the benefits from it and pretty much almost no negative effects whatsoever. So, and then of course you have your um, this one here. It says marijuana is not medicine. Some of the ingredients in marijuana, such as THC, have medical effects or medicinal effects. First of all, quite literally, there is only three uh, ingredients in marijuana that they have actually come out with and said, hey, you know, the government said there was this in it, that in it. They even tried saying that there was more chemicals in marijuana than there are in tobacco, which is completely wrong. It's ridiculous how they did that. Um, Tobacco in its natural form is, I would say, okay to a point, only because obviously you're smoking it, carcinogen, cancer, um, even nicotine, very addictive. But marijuana has three components to it, not thousands like they're trying to make off. Plus, in cigarettes, they add extra things. You know, they add rat poison to cigarettes. There isn't rat poison in marijuana. Nobody's adding it in. If you're smoking just to get stoned, and we're talking about stoned out of your mind, like even at its peak where you're stoned out of your mind, um, you're still coherent. You still can function. It can actually reverse the effects for what you're trying to use marijuana for. For instance, with ADHD, um, it greatly slows down the brain, where basically your ability to make connections with certain things is impaired. I will admit to that. However, when prescribed right, when used right, so let's say I do smoke it, okay, which I don't agree with smoking in my opinion. Vaping it, okay. Edible, okay, but not smoking it. No. Um, so if you use it in small increments, like for instance, if you smoke it, like take one, maybe two hits. If you're using it as consume it to eat it, maybe one brownie, or depending on what you're making it for, you can measure it out, and you just have to like any other thing, like this, okay, the Snapple. You have to kind of mess around with it and see how it works. I mean, it's completely safe. And vaping it, same thing, take a hit or two. And the cool part about vaping is no carcinogen, and it's just like inhaling a cloud, basically, is what vaping is. And I just want to debunk the whole thing on the negative effects of vaping marijuana. First of all, there are issues with vaping this nicotine stuff. Forgive me if I'm uneducated on the name of it. However, I am educated on what it is and what it can do to you. This whole vaping thing, the alternative cigarette, it's not as good as what people are thinking it is. As a matter of fact, it could be just as bad. There is a condition that they're starting to find with this vaping called popcorn lung. It's just not good. Plus, you're putting nicotine in your system. That in itself is quite harmful, very addictive. Um, and you don't know exactly what kind of chemicals, other kind of chemicals are in that liquid that they're vaping. Marijuana, on the other hand, is just marijuana. Like I said, the three drugs that are in it, the three medications that are in it, and each of those have medical properties. It's not like, well, this one in marijuana is good, but these are bad. No, all three of them have medicinal qualities to them. With that being said, I fully support vaping it. Operation Cannabis. Smoking marijuana. Benefits: nothing, zero, zilch, nada, none, zip, void, null, diddly, scratch. Risks: cancer, heart attack, overdose, emphysema, HIV and AIDS, malaria, tuberculosis, influenza, leprosy, and more. How stupid does the federal government think we are? I mean, seriously. Cancer, they've already proven that it helps suppress cancer, and in rare cases, it's actually helped gotten rid of the cancer. Heart attack, no way, shape, or form has anybody ever had a heart attack from marijuana. That is a complete myth. Overdose, impossible. I can't even tell you how many times I've thought to myself, oh, the more I smoke, the higher I'm gonna get. The way it works is, once you hit a peak with THC in your system, you can't get any more high. It doesn't matter how much you smoke either, you're not gonna OD. The worst that's gonna happen is your throat's gonna get more scratchy, your lungs are gonna start feeling a little more heavier because of the smoke. Yeah, no. Emphysema, negative. Malaria, come on, malaria, you get that from mosquitoes. You serious? Tuberculosis? No. Influenza? No. Leprosy? Come on. Really? Leprosy? Nobody in the history of mankind has ever gotten leprosy from weed. This is absolutely ridiculous. Ridiculous. So, with that being said, let's call it clearing the smoke. Showing the real side of what marijuana is. It's a medicine. It's not a bad drug. So let's jump over to the positive side. Cannabis helps with glaucoma. Cannabis relieves migraine headaches. Cannabis helps brain cells. Cannabis can relieve skin diseases. Cannabis helps ease asthma attacks. Cannabis may block epileptic seizures. I don't know why they say may, because they've already proven that. But that's okay. We're not going to go there. Cannabis works as a back spasm medicine. This is completely true. I can raise my hand and say that is true. Cannabis treats depression and other mood disorders. Yes, yes, and more yes. For people to say, oh, well, you know, later on when you start coming down, you get depressed. No, you don't get depressed. Actually, when you start coming down, you get more tired. So, yeah, if you consider being tired as being depressed, then I'd hate to see you at like 2 o'clock in the morning. Anyways, cannabis may help emphysema patients to breathe better. Cannabis alleviates pain associated with chemotherapy. Cannabis has successfully reduced tumors, benign and malignant. Cannabis can help multiple sclerosis patients control spasms. Cannabis easily can be grown organically, free of all toxic chemicals. Cannabis assists in overcoming insomnia. Very true, going over that sleep thing again. Cannabis dilates the bronchi to allow more oxygen into the blood. Completely true. Cannabis helps paraplegic and quadriplegic patients. My ex-wife, Shasta, I hope you're seeing this. It really does. You know those muscle spasms that your legs tend to have? Yeah, you'll have less with this. That medication you're using, it's really not good for you. It's attacking your liver. This here, guaranteed, would help you out, Shasta. Moving on. Cannabis may induce antibacterial effects. I don't know how true that is. I have to look into that one. That's very interesting. Cannabis is the best way known to dry the mouth saliva. Dry the mouth saliva in dentistry. Yeah, it does. It dries the mouth out. At least when it's smoked. I don't know about, vaped or taken orally. I don't know if that's a natural effect from the THC or from just the smoking in particular. I want to say it's THC involved though. I'm sorry, one of the 3 components involved though, because of the fact that when you smoke cigarettes you don't get a dry mouth. So with that being said, moving on. Cannabis relieves the pain of arthritis and rheumatism. Cannabis alleviates the symptoms of withdrawal from alcohol and narcotics. I can personally say this is true. Now, I've never had addiction to alcohol, which is phenomenal because of the fact that I have a family history of alcoholism. We're not talking about my parents. We're talking more like grandparents, uncle, auntie, that sort of thing. So it's in my gene. However, narcotics, and I'm getting kind of personal on this level. I was strung out on crack when I was living in Texas for a year. I was strung out not for the full year, but I would say about a good 4 to 6 months. And this is kind of my what is it called? This is kind of my confession to my parents of what was going on with me when I came back from Texas. So when I came back, I was having withdrawals, and you know, it was hot outside. Everybody was hot outside. It was summertime, and yet I was freezing to death, having the shakes, you know, just almost completely ill. Um, and this was from crack. Um, when I got back to Wisconsin, um, right away I started looking at my old sources of marijuana in Kenosha, and pretty much instantly when I started using the marijuana again, um, it alleviated big time the um, the withdrawals of the crack. Was the best thing that ever happened to me. Um, had I not used that, I might have possibly tried looking for crack elsewhere. Of course, I didn't know where nothing was over in that area, so. Um, but moving back on track, cannabis seed oil has an omega-6 omega-3 ratio of about 4 to 1. Cannabis seeds have essential amino acids in ideal proportions. And last but not least, it helps with ADHD, ADD and ADHD.